So thank you for sharing that with me, Keisha. I know that writing that impact statement and thinking about the ways that your trauma has impacted you and changed your views of the world around you and your views of others has also been influenced greatly. And so writing that down is very difficult. So I appreciate you for being brave and sharing that information with me.
No, no problem.
So I understand that you might be feeling a little uncomfortable right now
Yep.
after going through that. So I want to introduce to you as you were reading the impact statement. I pulled out and I jotted down just a few what I call stuck points. And so I know we touched base a little bit about stuck points last week, but I'm just going to review them with you real quick before we talk more about them.
Okay.
So basically, what a stuck point is these are unhelpful thoughts or beliefs that we have that are holding us back from moving forward. Things that we have accommodated our thoughts to or changed our thoughts to so that they match the trauma or we try to fit the trauma into our own experience. So, a few of those, I guess let me ask you this. Does that make sense of what stuck points are?
Kind of.
Kind of. Okay,
Yeah, kind of.
I can explain.
Yeah, can you explain a little better?
Sorry about that. Thank you for being open with me. So basically, a stuck point is when you. I like to picture it as quicksand. So with quicksand, you just keep falling and you can't get out, and that's kind of what being stuck is. Being stuck in that quicksand, and that's kind of what this thought does. Is it stops you from being able to move forward.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, is that a little more clear for you? Okay. So I wrote down one of them, and then we're going to go into challenging your unhelpful beliefs. I know we talked about this the first session, and kind of when I gave you a rundown of what cognitive processing therapy looks like. It's a very challenging type of therapy because it involves a lot of restructuring of your own thoughts, which is challenging to do when you've had the same core beliefs for so long. So a stuck point that I think that, and you can disagree with me, but I think that this kind of hits the nail on the head. But I think a stuck point that you might be experiencing is that you are having some difficulties trusting any type of person that you interact with that you don't know, or specifically men. You're having a hard time trusting men. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, you pull out that sheet that I gave you, and on the sheet we're gonna do what we call an ABC sheet. So, what an ABC sheet is it looks at an event, and then it looks at the thought and the emotion that comes with the event. So, on my paper here, I'm just gonna draw a triangle for you to look at. Do you see the triangle?
Yeah.
So this comes from cognitive behavioral therapy, which is what a lot of basic therapy looks like. And it looks at the emotion, and it looks at the thought, and then it looks at the behavior. And then these are all connected, so I'm going to draw arrows in between them.
Okay.
So when we look at the sheet that has the columns, you see the A and the B and the C. So what this does is we're going to look at how your thoughts and feelings are influenced by one specific event. So what do you think would be an event that happened? Or what is your event that happened?
My event was being raped by that guy I didn't know.
You're right.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's what it was. And then, what do you think is the thought? Now, I do think that you have probably a lot of thoughts that came from that, and there's not just one that you can think of. So, let's just go back to that one step point that we.
I guess it would probably like not be able to trust like any guy.
Mm-hmm. What about the guys that you know? Would it just be strangers? Let's be as specific as possible.
I would say not the guys that I already know, because I already know them, and I already know them or have a relationship with them. But strangers I don't know, then yeah, I definitely don't trust them even more now. So that's probably
okay. And what are some emotions that you are experiencing?
Fear for one, because of the situation that happened, and also guilt because I feel like I could have stopped it from happening if I had just done more. But I think that's about it.
So I'm wondering if that's another stuck point. The guilt part.
Oh, yeah.
And the self-blame, it sounds like. So
I laugh when I get nervous. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. So why don't we look at just the one? We're gonna look at the one where you were having some difficulties trusting men, particularly strangers, and the fear that comes with that. So I guess tell me a little bit about some of this fear you're having. Are you saying, or would you say that when you go to the store and you're alone and you see people that you don't know and you see men that you don't know, that you are experiencing some of that fear and anxiety then?
Yeah, I try to like kind of clam up, and I'm like, okay, I need to like go find someone I know or like leave the store now because I don't want the same thing to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
And also when I go out, I try to dress like not what's the word? Not like I don't try to be extravagant. I try to just dress like really plainly and like kind of dress like I'm at home all day, so that way I don't look attractive and the hopes that like the same thing doesn't happen to me again. That's probably what it is. I usually don't dress like trashy, but recently that's how it's been ever since it's been happening.
Okay. So, yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So I guess looking at this thought, and I wrote it down too. So we've talked about how you cannot trust any guy because this one guy.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you this: if we were in a courtroom and there was a judge before you, and you presented him with this thought, and you said, "Your Majesty, I was raped, and because I was raped, I cannot trust any man." Do you think that would uphold in court? We can start here. What is the evidence that you can't trust any man? All of them.
Not even the ones I know. I guess, I don't know, I feel like whenever I'm around a guy, I kind of just want to hide and not be around him.
Sure, absolutely. That makes sense. And that, I think we'll talk a little bit more about some of those symptoms that you're experiencing, the hyperarousal. But when it comes to, let's say there's 1 million men in the world. And out of that million, one of them raped you. So is it safe to say that you can't trust any more of those men because one of them raped you?
Yeah, because now I don't know I don't know who I can trust because of one person's actions.
But what is the evidence that is going to uphold in court that you can't trust any man?
Not sure.
So is it safe to say that because one man raped you, that you can't trust any man?
Yes.
But is that rational?
Well, no. It's not rational.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so when we take it from that approach, we can say that how do you think we can reframe that? Do you think we could say something like there's some men that you can trust and some that you can't?
Yeah. I would say the men I know already I trust. But the men I don't know, the men I don't trust.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll continue to explore that more and continue to talk about that a little more.